Welcome to your weekly General Aviation news update. We have 4 stories for you this week. The first one is an update to the Trevor Jacobs story that we talked about last year. He's now in big trouble. The next one is the Pipistrel Velis Electro that is finally certified in Europe for now. And then Southwest pilots that authorize a strike. And then lastly, the FAA has issued a new procedures for the 2023 Airventure in Oshkosh. We'll talk about that. Let's get to it. And the first story this week is wannabe YouTube superstar Trevor Jacobs. You heard about him, I'm sure, in the news this week, and we talked about him maybe about a year ago now when he had an emergency on top of California and then decided to parachute out of his aircraft, and then the aircraft went down crashing. He made a whole video about it, and then people started to scrutinize what he had done and then realized that it probably was a fake, more than likely was a fake, and then now we know it was a fake because he just pleaded guilty. Now, he didn't plead guilty to faking a video because that's not something that exists, but he pleaded guilty to messing up the crash scene. And so the NTSB was asking a lot of questions in the FAA. They told him that he had to preserve the crash site. He told the FAA and the NTSB that he didn't know where the crash was. Well, turns out he did because he got video recovered from the aircraft itself of the actual crash because he had put cameras all around. And then even worse, he went secretly with a friend with a helicopter, and then they pulled the wreckage out of the location. And not only that, and then they went back to the airport, cut the aircraft into pieces, and then disposed of it before the FAA and the NTSB could do their investigation. So now he's being charged with well, he should be, quite frankly, charged with attempted murder of an aircraft, but that's not something. But he was basically impeding the investigation with the NTSB, and that's kind of a big deal. So he faces 20 years in jail, which is not going to happen. That's the maximum. My guess is that he's going to get maybe a year with probation, probably. We'll see. But at this stage, I think maybe he has learned a lesson. Maybe other YouTubers have learned a lesson as well with doing stunts like this. And we'll see where this is going to go. But yeah, this is really interesting to see. The second story this week is Pipistrel Velis Electro. We've talked about this aircraft a little bit in the past. It's now certified as an electric airplane for EASA, which is the equivalent of the FAA in Europe. Now, this is exciting, but because we're hoping that electric airplanes will eventually reduce the cost of flight training. Now, I'm definitely excited about this. I've been talking about electric aircraft for quite a while, but at this stage, obviously, the aircraft is still fairly limited in its capabilities. It's a standard category airplane, but it's limited to day VFR right now, and it has a limit of 1,320 pounds. Now, the batteries also last for about 40 to 50 minutes, which it's the beginning, right? At first, electric cars didn't have great battery coverage. It's getting a lot better. But now with the required reserve, that cuts that into about half, which means that you have about maybe 20 minutes of flight time. Now, interestingly, Florida Tech, my alma mater, is working with the FAA to get this approved under Part 23. And we'll let you know if we hear more about this and more about electric airplanes very soon. Your third story this week is Southwest, who just can't seem to catch a break. 99% of Southwest pilots have voted in favor of a strike. However, at this point, the strike must be authorized by the National Mediation Board, so they're not just out of the woodworks yet. Now, Southwest said that the vote won't affect their approach to the negotiations. The union said that the lack of leadership and the unwillingness to address the failures of our organizations have led us to this point. A lot of pilots are not really happy about this, so we'll keep you updated about what happens. There's actually more than that. There's other airlines that are also talking about striking at this stage. United is one of them. I think their contract was due, well, several years ago, and they still don't have a final contract. So I think we'll be seeing some changes on that pretty soon. And finally, the FAA has published the EAA Airventure Notice. That's a NOTAM. The FAA is urging anyone flying into Oshkosh to make sure they study the procedure carefully. There's been some changes. That includes some changes to parking instructions, to diversion changes, and then also to ultralight. So if you're going to Airventure, make sure that you stop by. We'll be there. We'll have a large booth. We'll have flight simulation. We'll have VR goggles, and then also our airplane will be there freshly off the paint shop. job. So we're excited to see all of our students over there. Stop by and say hello, and that's it. That's all I have for you this week. You'll have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.